Hey guys and gals, today I want to talk about kind of a cool system I made for crafting items 1.13. So I'm gonna hop into another world here and talk about something that they changed. So I've been using these sorts of crafting systems since I found out about them long ago. Crafting systems are pretty essential if you guys are going to be having Minecraft worlds with iron farms, melon farms, God, I don't even know, redstone, glowstone, like any big item that needs to be crafted. Sea lanterns is a huge one, and these don't really work well for sea lanterns. I have a whole nother system for that, link below, but like I'll link the whole playlist. You guys can find the crafting system for that in TNT. Those are sort of nice, but very related to what I'm about to show you in the other world that I just hopped off of. So these mass crafters are basically for one item. In this case, in this world, I'm using redstone. The filters aren't set, but all of these chests are filled with redstone. The most common use for this is iron in iron farms, and basically you'd break every chest, click the button, flush the items to the center, craft up your blocks, stick them in some sort of manual shulker box loader. Link to one of mine, link below. Those are pretty good. Then you can just load up double chests and double chests full of storage of the crafted item. However, in 1.13, I'm going to hop into survival here, they changed something, in my opinion, for the better. This is a fantastic change. I like it a lot, but as you're going to see, a lot of those items I just broke aren't really coming down, and they're never going to. They're going to just float in this limbo and get stuck in the hoppers, and they'll come over to this middle chest here, but you're going to lose a lot of items. So that water has always been there, kind of because items would float up, as you saw, but they get pushed to the center with the water. But now lots and lots of them get stuck, and I got comments from people saying that they aren't using these anymore for exactly that reason, and I totally get it, you guys. Like, this is kind of a game breaker for these designs. I mean, it still mostly functions. If you remove the water, it's probably not going to be too much of a problem. In fact, if I can just come up here and remove it while I'm chatting, it won't be a problem. But I've never really trusted these designs because items like to go everywhere. They get stuck in places that they shouldn't. They just fly out all over the place. They go off to the sides. It seems like nowadays they kind of fall straight down, but you know, as you can see, they still get stuck in the hoppers up there, and there's really no way to get those out. So I'm going to show you kind of my alternate design. Now, I mentioned it's related because what you just saw was a speed crafting system designed for like TNT and sea lanterns and whatever, but you'll find that it's actually fairly easy to modify it into something to be used for crafting all kinds of items. So we're back over here, and I want to like rest some concerns. So first and foremost, how about I just come over here and craft? I'm gonna have to turn my block sounds down a lot, just all the way, because it gets really loud. Basically, this thing has 72 droppers firing on a 5 item per second clock, meaning you can craft about 40 blocks per second. It's not as fast as just breaking them and crafting as fast as possible, but it is a very fast method, and it's super easy to hook up a crafting macro to this, and then of course it's super easy to just turn it off whenever you're done. You don't have to craft everything. You don't need to rely on breaking chests. You don't need to lag out your game by breaking all those chests all at once. And I was going to demonstrate how this does send out a divisible by 9 number, so you never have any extra, but I'm in creative, so I sucked up the extras, and then of course I could just put all these in a crafting system, or a shulker box loading system, super simple, and then you can just store all them in bulk. But because I'm in creative, that was kind of a bad showing, but you know what I mean, in that this will shoot out a divisible of 9. And this is my preferred method of crafting, because in my opinion, it's a lot cleaner, and it's actually, believe it or not, less laggy. So less laggy in two fronts. One, like I mentioned, you don't need to break all 5 double chests, because on the old system it was recommended to break the middle 2 first, which is, you know, 10 double chests of items, and that's hundreds of stacks of iron on the ground. It lagged out most PCs, so a lot of people just couldn't craft or couldn't be in the area when somebody was crafting. And then it's actually less laggy because even though you can see the chests and you guys can see how many hoppers this uses, it's actually, oh, I just had Taco Bell. It's actually less than the other system. So the other system that I just showed was, I think it was 18 by 5 high, which is a nice number because it works out with the water lengths. But that is 90 double chests plus the hoppers behind it. In this system here, now you can scale this up as far as you want, or you can even strip out a row of double chests, but this system has 72 droppers with everything in it. It can store about 860,000 items, I believe, if you have That's working off the 81 number. I'll get to that in a second. But it basically only has 144 chests instead of 180, so it's actually less, believe it or not. And this thing, like I said, even if you don't do the 8 in the back that I mentioned, the 9 in the back, it's still like 780,000 items, which, like, if you have a 30,000 per hour iron farm, you're good to run that for like a day and a half. So like it's pretty good. Unfortunately, it does require, well, not really, but it's highly recommended to have this wiring up here. This is what's called a hopper synchronizer. I have a video on this, link below. It's a super old school design. Basically, all of these hoppers are linked to this hopper right here, and it goes off of the idea that this hopper will get triggered last. Basically, all of this is important for, all this is important for is to make sure that every single hopper gets unloaded at the exact same rate. So you can see all of these have that 3 seconds 16, which means you can drain out this entire thing perfectly evenly until every single dropper is emptied. That way, it's a lot easier and more convenient to craft. Whereas if you didn't have this hopper system, and yes, I know it's a lot of dust updating, and when this thing is filling, this will be triggering more often than I suppose you'd like it to be, but like I mentioned, it's really necessary, because if you're just filling from the front like here and you've got no filter system to regulate the input, you're going to have this dropper and all of its chests full, and then the next one, and it'll be kind of a slope. And honestly, no iron farm is really going to get past this first bend of hoppers. It's not going to be as fast as a crafting system, so you kind of need that wiring. And then, of course, that's pretty much it for the base design. It's got a simple sorter, not really sorter, more of a regulator. If you're doing like an iron farm, I imagine you'll filter out the poppies, and it'll just be straight iron coming in here. And then like a quad witch farm, you could filter out everything else. And then, like I said, any other system you want. You can program some of these to just have like crystals and some of them shards. You guys can do whatever you want. For us on Minerva, we have an iron farm that we need a crafting system for, and an ice farm. So the ice farm is why we're talking about these extra ones at the end, because I've here added on 9 droppers at the back, and that's basically to bring the total up to 81 hoppers, or 81 droppers, well, whatever. And the 81 number is important because blue ice is very, very expensive, meaning all of the ice that you bring in, crafted 3x3, 9 ice equals 1 packed ice, and then for every 9 packed ice, you'll get blue ice, meaning every 81 ice, you'll get 1 blue ice. So that's why if you add on these extra droppers, it'll actually bring it to a very comfortable number for that. And this is just as a prototype. I mean, it's super, super easy to add it on. All of these chests and hoppers are identical. I'll just stack it on with 1.13. You can put normal chests next to each other. Super convenient. And then, of course, with the pistons below, I mean, if I wanted to power the... Oops, that's my macro. If I wanted to power this with the dropper system, then I'll just, put a piston down here. Dropper or observer facing down. And then, you know, we can just push the piston up like so. And then it's basically attached to the system. You just extend the wiring out, and you've effectively wired up these last droppers, and it's super, super simple. And yeah, so this is more of just a proof of concept. I built this up because I don't know, I wanted to see it working. I wanted a world download that I could share with the members and a video I could make, and I didn't want to finish this because the entire time I was thinking about this. So I'm gonna actually, I can just do it right now, hop into this world here, where I've broken the thing, but it works enough to show you, where what I've done here is you load all of your inputs into shulker boxes. So if you've got slime balls, then you'd have shulker boxes full of slime balls. We were doing this for a slime farm, go figure. And then you'd put all of them into this dispenser here. Like I said, I think I broke this system. I think there's supposed to be a rail here, and then it'll work completely fine. I'm not gonna, whatever, it doesn't matter. It unloads the shulker boxes very, very, very fast, and then you need to handle it somehow, which is why I never loved this system. And if you break it down to simple math, what we'll have here is 16 droppers instead of the 81 that I just showed you. So it'll craft at a much, much slower rate than the other design, but it's a lot more lag friendly because this is all you need. I mean, right here, if we have, what is this, 6 high? So this is 1.2 million slime balls of storage, and then you just unload the shulker boxes. Whereas in the system that I'm kind of selling here, this only has, you know, 3/4 of that storage. And with shulker boxes, you can make it as big as you want. 20, 30, 40 million becomes a pretty easy number to hit. But I mean, do you really want to craft 40 million iron in one sitting? So like, this is actually a lot more practical. If you're gonna be like logging on every day, every other day, crafting iron on your world, this is a pretty good system to do it. And because of the rate that it dispenses the iron, it's very, very fast, and completely lossless. This is something important to mention because every single crafting system I've seen that doesn't use droppers loses some. Even the system that I just showed you is a video I made. I've used it personally to craft over 2 million iron in my life. It's still lossy. I mean, even with the water at the top, iron flies out here, there, Minecraft glitches out. It's not a perfect game, but this is 100% lossless, and so is this. And this is just, like I said, I cling to it because it's lag friendly. There's not a lot going on. You basically use hopper minecarts instead of more hoppers, but I don't know. That's just kind of a proof of concept that I'm not really gonna... I don't think I'm going to commit to it. I don't think we'll be using that on Minerva. If you want a link to this 16 output, I'll be putting that in the description below. You guys can look all into that. And then that brings us back to this design. And this is, in my opinion, the best way to craft in 1.13. It's a lot laggier looking than it is. It's really not that bad. I use dropper clocks especially, so there's hardly any blinking dust. And, well, hardly any, basically the input and the filter up there. As long as that's not triggering and you only flick the lever once, the redstone's not blinking at all. You just, you know, on off. And then the items get here pretty quick. You don't need that much packed ice because of 1.13. And that's about it. So here's the part that a lot of people aren't gonna love. I will not be doing a block by block tutorial on this. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, this is a lot more complicated at face value than it really is. And by that I mean, like, there's really not a lot going on here, you guys. So there's a couple things you want to keep track of, and that's that, like, this water stream here is 8 long, stopping on that block, and I use trapdoors to stop it. And then we've got an ice partition, and then at the end of the ice stream is 8 blocks back. Right here, right before the beginning here, is 8 blocks back, 8 blocks back, 8 blocks back, and then there's droppers. And then this slice, so this slice going from this dropper up to this hopper facing sideways is identical. Every single one of these just uses a hopper facing sideways, one into a dropper, which, by the way, absolutely could be a chest if you wanted to add on more storage to your system. Then it's going face down into a chest, which, again, if you wanted this to be super extra storage, you could put chests off to the side or whatever, but you'd interfere in here and whatnot. But this is a lot of storage, so don't worry about it. If you wanted to put it into here, you could, you know, whatever. It's this exact slice repeated as many droppers as you want. So it's not that hard to set up. And then for the droppers below, the observer clocks, I mean, you just power 1 for every 3. And then on here, I just kind of took a loss there. And then over here, you just sort of separate it with 1 more if you want to add on more droppers. I would recommend doing 72 droppers just because that's divisible by 9, and then you'd be crafting 40 items per second. As I said, you can absolutely just tack on more droppers. It's recommended that you tack them on in divisibles of 9, so add on 9 droppers and then another 9 droppers, or you could double this entire system and make it 144 droppers if you want to craft 80 items per second. Good luck keeping up with that. And my parents are talking next to me. And then it's pretty easy to expand after that. And then, of course, 81 is recommended if you're going to be crafting something like ice or golden nuggets. If you're using this for a gold farm, golden nuggets need to be crafted 81 times to become golden blocks, because 3 by 3 9 equals, you know, a golden ingot, and then 9 of those is a golden block. So gold farms and ice farms might need that, or I guess if you're crafting iron nuggets for some reason. But I digress. Basically, like, the actual build layout for this is pretty simple. Hopefully this water stream isn't too complicated. You can modify this however you want, but yeah, I will be providing a world download as well. So if you guys want to follow that to the T, you absolutely can. You just drop it in your saves folder. There's plenty of tutorials. And then, of course, I've chosen 2 rows of double chests for this. You can add on 3. Basically, the cutoff is this hoppers. If you want to put a double chest and then 2 hoppers and then this module on top of that, you can totally do so. If you want to cut out all of it, take out this row of hoppers and chests and move it down a block, you can do that as well. It's this design is pretty malleable. You can basically do whatever you want with it. And then, of course, the wiring at the top is a bit tricky. So all you need to keep track of are 2 things. Make sure that your filter hopper is the very last one in the chain, and make sure that the torches used in the line are pretty close to each other. I mean, I'm using a couple repeaters here, but they all unlock at almost the same time. And then there's a row of locked dust on top of every single hopper here. and that makes sure none of it gets filtered. If you wanted to use sea lanterns, for example, and I'm not really sure what the proportion would be in this scale here, but you would need, out of 72 droppers, you would need 4/5 of those to be, oh, Taco Bell again. 4/5 of those would need to be sea crystals, and then of course you can just make 32 of those into these filters. And if this was your last hopper, say, then you just need to sneak a comparator out of there, and you'd have to figure out the wiring on your own, but I trust that it won't be too difficult. Obviously, you can contact me or our members in the Discord link below. You can go to the technical Minecraft section if you're having any problems with this. World download will be linked below with these little droppers at the end. Again, if you want to use these in the system, then just trail it upwards and move this redstone line, you know, bust it out, and then just wire it all appropriately to fit in, and it shouldn't be too tricky from there. So yeah, I felt like I should make this video just because, like I said, this is basically just a modification of a design that I released a couple years ago. That will be in the speed crafting link below in the playlist. One of the first, I think it's the very first redstone video on my channel, was actually a TNT crafting system using this exact same concept, and it's still applicable today for a little less exciting means. And I've been sitting on this for a while. I didn't really want to make this video because it's nothing terribly new, but it might give some people a new perspective on a good way to speed craft. So yeah, hopefully that was informational. Hopefully this gave you an idea. Hopefully you can follow the world download, use this design on your worlds. Feel free to credit me if you ever do that in a video or whatever. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time.